All right, how you guys doing today? We about to hop into the review of Proverbs chapter 15. The first things first, though, just make sure you like that video, hit a little exit full screen, scroll a bit, like it, and then full screen it back up. You feel me? Starts off, soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Basically, meaning, if you ever heard of saying kill them with kindness, if somebody's coming at you with evil words, right, grievous words, it's just gonna stir up anger. But if you answer with a soft word, like you're quick to say, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I'm listening. It's just really a sorry, an apology, and offer sincerely and say, will you forgive me, right? A lot of people, it's just going to turn away their wrath if they're mad at you. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge, all right, but the mouth of the fools pours out foolishness. And that kind of goes back to what we just said, right? If you're wise, you're going to use your tongue rightly. But the mouth of a foolish man pours out foolishness, going to stir up that anger. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding evil and the good. And he mentioned that this is what causes people to have fear of the Lord in terms of having reverence and acknowledging God, right? We talked about this before. Acknowledge God in all your ways. You acknowledge God in all your ways, you realize that the eyes of the Lord are in every place. And he not only sees this evil, but he also sees the good that we do. But he's also with us at all times. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is the breach in the spirit, right? Wholesome tongue connects with the same stuff. Tree of life, greatness flows out of it. Perverseness, breach in the spirit, which is inside of us. Not only the spirit, but our spirit, right? A fool despises his father's instruction, but he that regards reproof is prudent, right? If you don't listen to what your father has to correct you on, it's a little bit dumb. But he that regards reproof, this correction, is prudent, he's wise. In the house of righteousness, there's much treasure, but in the revenues of the wicked is trouble, right? And once again, this isn't about promises, but also the observations of Solomon. So he notices in the house of righteousness, there's much treasure, but in the revenues of the wicked, there's trouble. Which doesn't mean that wicked people can't have treasure, but in their house, there's going to be some of that. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the foolish does not do so. Facts, right? Sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. And he mentioned that there in the sermon that there was an instance where Saul was giving sacrifice to God while he was in not good standing with God, or he was doing sin, something along those lines. And I think it was young King David who told him, well, just young David at the time, I think is what he said. Either way, somebody was like, these sacrifices mean nothing if you're not doing the right stuff, if you're not obeying God, which is to say that God doesn't really care about the fact if we're doing all the right things, if we're checking all the right boxes, like, I prayed to God, I read my word, I did this, I did that, I'm a good person today, right, God? No, he doesn't care about that. He cares about if you're obeying him, if you're listening to him, if you're really in love with him, despite how many times you may fall, right? It's not about the checking the boxes, unless it becomes down to, dang, I fell into this and I did this and I did that. What do I need to do back to get back right? And you create a habitual habit of making sure that you're reading your word and you're praying to God, like, all right, I prayed and I read my word. God, have this make sense to me, have this work in me and your power in me to help fix myself. Unless something like that. It's not just, God, I'm promising this, and then we're going to be good. I'm reading my word. Why is everything going so bad? Because you're still in sin, but you're reading your word. Doesn't necessarily mean anything good's going to come out of you reading your word if you're still willingly hopping into sin. But that's what this verse is talking about. The prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but he loves him that follows after his righteousness. Correction is grievous to him that forsakes the way, and he that hates reproof shall die. Right? Correction. It's grievous unto him that forsakes the way. It's dangerous if you're forsaking it. And if you hate this correction you're getting, you're just going to die. Hell and destruction are before the Lord. How much more are the hearts of the children of men? And he gave this example of this guy he knew that got this terminal illness, right? He got a set date on his life, right? It wasn't conclusive, like, oh, 6 months, 2 years, it's kind of just that vague type of thing, like, you don't got much longer. And he started reading about stuff in the Bible that would paint the picture as to what would happen after life, and he realized there isn't much there. But what this verse does is reassure us. Hell and destruction are before the Lord. The Lord knows what's there. I believe there's a verse somewhere in the Bible that says he's going to be watching over hell, even in that time when people are going to get sent there after everything. However, because this is before the Lord, he also knows all the goodness is there, right? Nobody knows the hour of the time except for the Father. The same way that Jesus is preparing the house for us, he's preparing the house for us. So how much more are our hearts also before him if he knows what's going to come before us? If he knows what's coming for us, so like you either getting rewards or you either getting heaven and destruction, he knows your heart. Which means you can't hide nothing from God. He sees all. omnipotent, omnipotent, omniscient. Yeah, a scorner loves not the one that reproves him, right? A scorner won't love somebody that corrects him, neither will he go into the wise. A merry heart makes a cheerful countenance, but sorrow of the heart, the spirit is broken. And he said that this verse is talking about how we can change the way we perceive things, right? We can choose to look at stuff negatively, we can choose to look at stuff positively. The outlook that we have on our life will determine the way our spirit goes and the way our mood is, right? That first verse that said the good words, kind words, they will turn away a sorrow heart, but grievous words will bring about trouble and death, stuff like that. Same way we look at situations. You look at bad situations and say, God closed this door off for me. What else could you need? You look at a good situation, God has blessed me. You've acknowledged the Lord in all your ways. That's good, right? So it's really what you want to make it, a merry heart, because you're supposed to have the joy of the Lord, and joy is something that really can't be taken away because we're always with the Lord, right? So the joy that we have, it's going to make a cheerful countenance. You're always going to be happy. But sorrow with a heart, the spirit is broken. Why do we become sorrowful? When we let ourselves get to sin, even if we're saved, right? For me, I'm saved, and I can't let this sorrow go of the guilt of the sin that I had when I like backslide, right? I can't let this sorrow go, and it's making my spirit broken. Now, I don't want it to be broken, but I need to get back right. I need to get back right with God. So I'm reading the Gospels. I'm trying to refigure who Jesus is. I'm trying to renew my mind with that. Refresh on who God is and how much he loves me, so I can have that cheerful countenance again. The heart of him that has understanding seeks knowledge, but the mouth of the fools feeds on foolishness. If you have understanding, you're going to seek that knowledge, right? If you understand God, you're going to seek that knowledge. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but he that is of merry heart has a continual feast. Boom. Right? Your merry heart makes a cheerful countenance. Have a merry heart, continual feast. The Lord will keep blessing you. Whether it's blessings in disguise or real blessings, you're gonna be blessed, right? Better is little with fear of the Lord than great trouble and treasure therewith. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. And he made a joke. He was like, this is basically saying, right, better is a happy meal with love than like Cheesecake Factory dinner with hatred. You know what I'm saying? A wrathful man stirs up the strife, but he that is slow to anger appeases strife, right? Angry people, they're going to make contention. But if you're slow to anger, you're going to appease that. Say, this directly ties to the first verse. Kind words, you're going to calm it down. Angry words, you're going to wind it up. The way of the slothful man is a hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous is made plain, right? Slothful man, pricky, mad, bad. The way of the righteous man, it's cool, it's smooth, your way is good, you got it, you understand, you see the end of the road, you just got to go. A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish man despises his mother. In this commentary I found specifically says that a foolish man who despises his mother brings disgrace to their parents, and the rejection of their parents' wisdom shows that they truly despise them. Because like it says oftentimes in the other verses, you gotta like correction. If you despise your parents, you despise in their correction, that's bad. Folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom, but a man of understanding walks uprightly. Without counsel, purposes are disappointing. Without counsel, purposes are disappointing, but in the multitude of counselors they are established, right? So without a counsel, whatever you set out to do is going to be disappointed. But where there's multiple counselors, it's going to be established, because there's many heads, many wisdoms, many sources of wisdom, so to speak. A man has joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good is it, right? People like talking. If your word is spoke well, it's a good thing. A man has joy in giving an appropriate answer. How good and delightful is a word spoken at the right moment. How good is it? Truly, a way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from the hell beneath. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud, but he will establish the border of the widow. The thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord, but the words of the pure are pleasant words. He that is greedy of gain troubles his own house, but he that hates gifts shall live. The heart of the righteous studies to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things, right? Why do we study the word? What's the point of this channel? To answer people, to help people, right? But the mouth of the wicked, they just pour out evil things. Hence this one guy in my comment section, he was talking about oh, your God's a monster because genocide and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, sir, if this same God is the God that's keeping me from committing crimes, slandering, womanizing, all this type of stuff, isn't it better that I follow him? He's like, you're doing it yourself. And I'm like, well, if I'm doing it myself, then anybody else can do it themselves, and there would be no crime, right? But they don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Anyway, The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. Facts. The light of the eyes rejoices the heart, and a good report makes the bones fat. I don't even know what it's talking about. So this is saying like your happy countenance, right? The light in your eyes can make other people happy, and good news puts fat on the bones. Good news is good for people to hear. And he said, even if you don't have good news, or some people can't share good news with you, it should be a reminder that it's good to share the good news of Jesus Christ, aka the gospel. The ear that hears the reproof of life abides among the wise. He that refuses instruction despises his own soul, but he that hates reproof gets understanding. Wait, hears reproof. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom. Before honor is humility. And this is basically just saying, let yourself be taught, right? The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom. Before honor is humbleness. But to be instructed, you have to say, you have to be humble enough to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what this is, and be willing to learn, right? Right. All right, that's gonna be the end of the video. You guys have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.